So very quickly we're going to get into game number 2. Spawning at the top right, this is Tal'Darim Altar, and I have to try so hard not to say GSL now. Tal'Darim Altar LE. We have FXOSheth as our purple Zerg. Bottom right, we have our blue Terran, of course changing colors on me. He's ROOTdrewbie, so I'll make him blue. So the only difference between this and the GSL map, well, there's actually a few differences. Over at the third, you do have rocks covering the expansion, so you would have to take those down. A little easier for Terran to do. A little rougher for Zerg, especially when Terran does a fast expand. They want to get that quick third. And the mineral patches here are 1500. It was 750 on the GSL map. And a full geyser at 2500 instead of 1250. The other big change on here, we do have the Xel'Naga towers not covered by grass. There was a small ring of grass where you could hide units. Can't do that anymore. So actually, if you are pushing out, you'll most likely clear out those Xel'Nagas on the way. Doesn't really make a huge difference as far as the high ground. The Xel'Naga was on equal ground. You didn't really see people come up through the middle and actually clear out the Xel'Nagas, although tanks could do that. And this is still a very good map for Terran. I'm actually surprised Sheth is choosing this. The reason I say that is because look at this expansion, and I don't think it's been changed. No, it hasn't. A few tanks here on the low ground, and the spawning positions, I'm already going to say, favoring drewbie for this. Put a couple tanks here, and that goes straight on the mineral line. Very, very tough to deal with. I mean, you have to have Mutalisks out very quickly to deal with those. And even a few Marines at the edge and a few drops on the main just make it so impossible to deal with. But we'll see what Sheth has planned. We do have a pool coming up after hatchery, so an aggressive opening here. A little bit risky. We do see a single SCV coming in right now, and the Overlord's going to see it. Would be smart to pull a few drones. Pulling at least one right now to check to see if the bunker's going up. And pulling back, not seeing anything. Apparently feels safe here. Drewbie not actually doing a wall off at the front like you'll see sometimes. He is going to go for a very fast expansion here right after the barracks and not even worrying about the wall off. He may lift this up, go and actually wall off here at the front. It is a common strategy. May just opt to get a bunker here at the front. And as I say that, it looks like that's what he's thinking about doing. He stopped the SCV there. Could be thinking about doing a small push. But Sheth, on the other hand, has his expansion up. He is getting 6 lings out, maybe just preparing for an early attack. And continues to drone up. Now, I am not sure if this is an actual change, but it looks like a change to me. I think if you use Reapers on this map, there's now this bridge going from the third into the main. I mean, this low ground bridge just looks so not from the original map for some reason. So you guys may know better than I do, but it just looks like it's out of place. But you, at least I haven't seen Reaper play on here yet, and Reapers can easily get into the main regardless. Two Zerglings coming in scouting. They do pretty much get killed off, 3 of them having to run away. And, well, he saw everything he wanted to see, so a fast expansion, getting that orbital command, and a bunker at the front. Drewbie gonna follow this up with double factory, so he's actually gonna be playing mech from here on out. So it looks like he is gonna get a reactor here, probably do a switch with one of the factories, maybe get a tech lab on this first one. This means he can go very heavy on blue flame Hellions, which are very good for this map. Even if they do get spine crawlers here at the ramp, you can always drive over to that third, pretty much avoid that front. So we'll see what kind of defense actually Sheth has for this. So Tech Lab on the first factory, gonna switch out that reactor with the second as he lifts the barracks up and floats it away. Sheth, close to having metabolic boost done, does have that roach horn as well, so he's gonna have a few roaches, definitely gonna help in this battle. And actually grabbing another gas, so he's gonna be up to well, only 2 gas. Fooling me there. Nice saturation here on the main. A little less saturation on the expansion, but not bad. Harvester count right now, 33 to 32, so definitely very close. Drewbie's always been keeping up with this SCV production, staying very close or ahead of Sheth as we saw last game. And now this is a little surprising. Sheth going to go out for a small attack, see what he can do. The bunker only has actually 2 Marines inside, the rest of the Marines sitting back. And the Hellions even further inside the base. Blue Flame is about halfway done. And out of this, he is getting an armory. Looks like he's going to go for some Thors. Now the Hellions coming up to the front, maybe expecting to leave the base, but no, the Roaches do stop them. And Sheth is going to want to get a few more Roaches back at home. The Lings trying to stay back away from those Hellions. SCV's being pulled to repair the bunker extremely quickly. Even repairing the Hellions, so almost doing no damage here. So he's going to have to get back home as fast as he can. And doing a nice job spreading creep. And it looks like he's going to go out for an expansion up here in the top. So this is the result of putting those rocks at the third. You can't grab it as quick as Zerg, especially when you do have to expand faster than the Terran. Drewbie just sitting back, not actually putting those SCVs back to mining. Not a huge difference though, since he has mules, of course. He is behind on harvesters though, so 51 to 44, so he is even a little further behind, considering how many SCVs he has building, and then the 5 sitting here. Reading my mind, pulling those back. And it seems like Hellions afraid to push out. Might be a little cautious since he knows Roaches are out. We do have that army from previously trying to take down those rocks. More Lings on the way. We do have a Spire coming up as well. Also a Baneling nest at the same time, but not really getting more Roaches out. Gonna go to each one of these Xel'Naga towers. Not gonna actually scout out that third up the top. Oh, or is he? Thinking about what he wants to do here. The creep is spread out. He's gonna push that back. Ling's being pulled to try to fight these off. Not going to be all that cost effective, so we can already see only 3 units lost for Drewbie, 250 resources compared to the 625 lost for Sheth. That third base finishes, but he's not going to be able to transfer any drones there, so he's going to build a few Lings actually. So they're not able to drone up at this point. 7 Mutalisks are going to come out, but we have a lot of tanks. A lot of tanks, especially for this early in the game. He is getting a very quick vehicle weapons one, so actually not getting those very quick Thors like I expected. And then streaming Marines across the map as well. Hellions just holding the front, making sure nothing gets out of the base. Mutalisk's going to come out, maybe snipe one of these. The tank's actually pulling back. They were ahead of the Marines. And he stems up the Marines, trying to catch one of those. And Sheth pulls back just in time. Only takes half damage on one of those Mutalisks, so not really losing anything in that confrontation. So definitely needs to delay this push as long as possible. And right now, Drewbie actually not just going to push to the bottom of the ramp, the bottom of the mineral patch like I expected. He could just go straight for the push, straight for the top. There he goes, sieging up a little bit late. Just barely out of range of the hatchery, may even be able to hit it. And here come Banelings. But a lot of them going off against the tanks, all of them going off against the tanks, and all of the Marines left taking out those Mutalisks. But it does give enough time for the Roaches to clean up the tanks, and even the Queen helping right now. And it looks like Sheth holds. Currently up on supply by about 20. Doing a nice job here. Going to go for a counterattack. Drewbie not with a whole lot of units back on home. It looks like he is trying to retreat a couple Marines. They are going to get picked off very quickly. More units over here on the right side. Looks like a Zergling may have seen those. Zerglings coming in before the Roaches or the Mutalisks. Unfortunately, going to lose a few of them. And now doesn't really have enough units for the attack. So I will be joined by Destiny soon, guys. Hold your horses. Only because he is seeing his kid. Blame babies. Blame babies. Then we do have that queen trying to spread the creep once again, but of course drewbie never going to allow that if he does see that going down. 2 Marines coming up for a scout. Stopping just so they can die. Couple lings spreading out, trying to do a little bit of scouting. Those rocks never going down yet for drewbie. It looks like he is going to take those down now. And Mutalisk's coming in for a little bit of harassment. We do have a turret up in the SCV line. Looking at the main, he does have one up there as well. Not really overcommitting to those turrets, but enough to actually deter the Mutalisks. Buy a little time for Marines to come back if he does decide to. But now drewbie pushing out once again. Now we'll see how he plays this attack out. Didn't go so well last time. He may opt to go the safer route and just do some more range damage on the low ground. Gonna go straight for that ramp again. And here he goes, doing exactly like I warned in the beginning of the game. Gonna drop units on the high ground. Medevac gives him vision regardless. This hatchery is under siege. Definitely in range of the tanks. It is going down in health. Even an overseer coming up right now. Meanwhile, a small counterattack trying to happen, losing some of his Mutalisks down there. Few lings doing absolutely nothing at the bottom. We'll see what Sheth's able to do now that he has lost that hatchery. He did get a 3rd base up in the meantime, took down those rocks earlier. He is happily mining from this top base, has not been scouted yet. Looking at what drewbie sees. Absolutely nothing. He does scan, sees the banelings coming up, and the Marine's going to try to cut them off. Oh, banelings rolling in. Oh, and all the Marines going down. The banelings are super effective, and now Sheth definitely in the lead. 20 supply up, wiping out that army. We'll see what drewbie does. He does not have a 3rd base yet. He is floating over. Most likely going to get a planetary there, otherwise he would have already had that orbital up. Sheth coming in for the counterattack. Lots of lings, a couple mutas. Tank's already ready for this. The Thor's a little bit out of position. And it looks like he does hold that attack back. And once again, we have an even game. 131 supply versus 133. Looking at the harvester count, 70 versus 64. Very close with Sheth in a slight lead. Also sneaking another hatchery here on the top left. Getting his original expansion back up. Using those queens, gonna spread creep perhaps. Would definitely be a good idea. Looking at our upgrades, getting that +2 carapace. Mutalisk's currently at 1-1. Working on that 1-2. And the roaches gonna be 2-0. Any ling upgrades? I don't think we do. No. Actually getting 2 melee attacks, so definitely planning on staying heavy on the lings. The banelings obviously doing quite a bit of damage thanks to those upgrades. That 3rd already protected with missile turrets. Muta's trying to take down a refinery, but he does lose 2 of those, 3 of those, 4 of those. Without actually killing anything off. Not a fair trade at all. So at this point it seems like Sheth is just gonna have to drone up as much as humanly possible. I mean, he's still staying ahead 74, 73 now to 66. Just get that economy going, get as strong of an army as possible. He is getting an infestation pit, I like it. Gonna be able to slow those units down. Fungal growth actually gonna do some decent damage versus tanks nowadays. Now you say you don't drone up at 76, but I've seen several Zerg players who just go up to 90 because he's still mining effectively from 4 bases. He does have this top left base. Unfortunately, the drones picked off a single Marine trying to take it down. And drewbie sitting in the middle here. Banelings coming in. The tank's on siege. They're sieging up late. And the tank volley is actually making a blow up on the tanks right there. Mutalisk's trying to force those Marines back. And a lot of the roaches at least taking care of those tanks, but only Thor's left to defend. 1 tank is left here in the middle. Most of the Marines surviving. And he is running back. More banelings being morphed in. And drewbie just sitting back right now, happily mining from that third base. He actually did get an orbital command, but not with very much saturation. He is mined out of the main, transferring a couple SCVs now, it looks like. Definitely oversaturated at this second, which is about to be mined out. So as long as Sheth can hold in this, he's definitely going to be ahead economically. Drewbie's going to have to get another base up soon, but where is it going to be? Not even sure where he can actually capture a base from. Somebody calling me, it looks like, as I hear ringing, but I have no idea who called me there. So I am just confused now, and here we go, another attack here from drewbie. Sieging up on the low ground. I mean, this base is just so hard to defend. I mean, he's most likely going to have to sack this again, but he's getting ready for a counterattack right now. Lots of units on this left side. They do get scanned. And more units pretty much just streaming across the map. Sheth right now still doing a little bit of damage. One Marine in here still alive, and the tank, oh, taken out as the rest of the army actually pulled back, not pulling those tanks back. Maybe just wanting to keep that pressure up, but not really doing any damage on the hatchery, just taking down the gas and the spine crawler instead. So here goes drewbie, mega macro mode, as he's putting up, well, 3 more barracks, 1 more factory. Needs to get another base, and as I say that, he already did. Here we go, planetary fortress on the bottom. Is going to have another base because he's still behind. I mean, just so many bases for the Zerg right now. He is at 80 harvesters compared to 65, and currently double the mineral income. So Sheth definitely doing great right now. Just has to keep up the pressure, make sure none of these attacks actually wipes out his entire army. He is maxed out. He did get that infestation pit. Currently working on hive tech, no infestors in the mix. Trying to kite these banelings back into the tank range and doing a very nice job bringing up a lot of that supply for Sheth. He's floating about 1,200 minerals though, so he should be able to rebuild quickly enough, at least get plenty of Zerglings. He has enough hatcheries. And still happily mining from 1, 2, well, sorta 3, 4 bases. Little counterattack right now happening as he's about to go to attack. So Sheth very nicely finds this bottom base. 3 missile turrets only guarding that one side. He's going to take those down very quickly. And this forces drewbie to do a full retreat. Try to save this planetary fortress. Some of the SCVs getting taken down. Chasing those down. Marines stimming up. Trying to catch up. Not getting any kills. And he's just going to fly away. So the attack continues. Drewbie going to go back up to the top left. Only 1 base up here, but Sheth waiting for it. Tons of banelings. He's going to march straight up the ramp. Sieging up as soon as he sees those banelings. The tank's going down. 1 more baneling would have finished those off. And using the banelings even against the Thors. And he cleans most of it up, but still a decent army here. Going to continue the attack. Looks like the rest of the units, banelings and infestors, mutas from the bottom, gonna reinforce, but still does not have a whole lot of units here, so not gonna be a huge loss. Definitely would have wanted to mine from that later. Muta's gonna fly right above these Marines. He's gonna go after maybe the tanks, and here come the banelings. Banelings going off against some of the tanks. The tank's still not sieging up. Doing a very nice job splitting up his units, so baneling's not really cost effective against that, but at least he does clean up the attack. Does not save the hatchery. And just gonna rebuild it since he already had the drones there. Now looking at the supply, 163 to 138. Drewbie floating 3k gas. Apparently cannot spend enough gas. That's what happens when you build nothing but Marines. Currently 12 Marines being produced at the same time. Sheth gonna lose nothing, just barely. 2 health on that muta. We do see drewbie trying to sneak a base down here in the bottom left, just floating that command center over. Still happily mining from this bottom base. Of course, wants to be mining from another, as this third over here starting to get mined out a little bit. A lot of minerals left there, but look at that. 500, 390. It'll be mined out there soon. Sheth gonna roll in a few banelings, see what he can do. Oh, might be coming at the perfect time, but Tank's able to take the damage. Tank's pretty good at tanking. So, Sheth even taking another base during this time, since he did have that other drone at the top. Look at that. Spazcraft trying to call me mid-game. Don't do that. I get a call sound. Breaking my stride here. Now, Sheth did get that Greater Spire. He's working on his 3-3 upgrades currently for these lings. Going to help the Broodlings out. And these Broodlords going to be able to do terrible, terrible damage. Especially versus just so many Marines. As long as he can hold the Marines back. And Baneling's pretty darn good at that. And Broodlords will be able to clean up the rest of the units here. Even Broodlings usually enough to just hold the forces back. If you get enough of them down. Also getting an Ultralisk Cavern and 23 more Banelings morphed in. He is going to be maxed out very soon. Drewbie now going for the more unconventional upgrades. Terran building armor, definitely going to help with those planetary fortresses. Going to help on his bunkers as well for defense. Even getting more command centers up. Always one step ahead of whatever he's doing on the map. And scans, sees the Broodlords. He's going to stem up and try to take those down before the Lings get here. Takes one down. Now Baneling's going to come in. Got to force those Marines back, doing a ton of damage. Fungal growth on half the army, actually killing him off on the left side. And Baneling still rolling after the Marines. Those stems are going to be wearing off. And he is cleaning up. Mostly nothing that can attack air. Tons of medevacs right now. And now we do have Vikings being produced. Even those air weapons level 1 on the way. And I like it. Tech switch over to Ultras. So once he does kind of overcommit to the tech switch, maybe gets a few too many Vikings out, he would be ready for it. Doing some fungal growth, trying to take those Vikings out, and that bonus damage helping a ton. 3 fungals, taking those down, even doing fungals quicker than he had to. So saving the Broodlords, and 4 Ultras about to pop out. Do we have any out on the field already? Doesn't look like it, so gonna be 4 Ultras for now. Doing a great job spending that money. Looks like he is starting to saturate those top left bases. Still mining from at least one of his old bases. This other one about to be mined out. And his original expansion is finally mined out after losing it almost twice. Drewbie, on the other hand, taking another base. So he's going to be up to 1, 2, 3 potential mining bases here, as this base is very close to being mined out. Already transferring some of those SCVs away. Sheth playing a little bit risky, sending those Broodlords in, maybe just trying to kite the army into the middle. Obviously a very huge area to be fighting. Spazcraft saying, call me. How rude. Our Broodlords coming in, picking off a few of those units just sitting in the middle. And Baneling's rolling in. Drewbie's kind of pinned here. Now he is doing an attack on the main, trying to take down some of the tech. But honestly, not doing too much here, as the smaller forces from Sheth can really clean this up. Looks like he is starting to lose buildings. One of his Ultras popping out right in the way of the Marines. Not really controlling that back. It looks like Ling's going to be able to be enough to actually clean this up. An Infestor here just for the hell of it. And now, army in the middle pushing out. We do have an army in the bottom left. Looks like it cleaned up that planetary fortress. Fungal growth is going on all of those medevacs. They are armored, so it does take bonus damage once again. He does have another fungal growth ready from this Infestor. Needs to stop that army from pushing up, and there he goes. Hitting almost all of those Marines. A ton of damage being dealt, and the Marines very close to dying. The medevac's just barely saving him. Able to take down those Ultras. And he's continuing to stream in units from the bottom. These tanks going down very quickly. Baneling's trying to roll in. The Ultras may be enough, especially with the fungal growth. Looks like they're going to do enough damage against these Marines. The rest of the medevacs trying to retreat. The Marines trying to run away, but Sheth in such a strong position, and now looking at the mining bases, this bottom base getting a little bit mined out. Pretty much this, his last real base, not using that gas quite yet. Of course, floating 2,000 gas, you're not in a huge rush for that. Sheth going to be maxed out on supply very soon, 185 to 120. Harvester counts starting to be much more in Sheth's favor, 80 to 46. But look at that income, very close. We do have Vikings coming in here just trying to harass some of the overlords. Meanwhile, it looks like Sheth going to be pushing out for a full-blown attack. Scouting out the other bases. Looks like he is going to go for the bottom base. Ooh, cancel that. Maybe he decides it's not worth it. He has already scouted this base here. Sends an overlord there, it looks like. Looks like this could be the last line of defense. And here go the Ultras. Baneling's in the middle of the mix, but no, he pulls back, losing a ton of units in that. But he does free up some of the supply. Waiting for more of his reinforcements, perhaps. He does have a lot of Broodlords. A lot of Tier 3 here. And 3 more Ultras on the way. He's once again maxed out. Marauders coming up. Marauders not the greatest unit to actually fight off Broodlords with. Units flying down, going to try to harass this base. And if he repairs that turret, I mean, he wouldn't have enough. And the turret burning down. Units being pulled to try to defend that. Might get a few free kills in Marauders here as the Marines kind of separated. Does stem just the Marines. Nice control there. A very small attack. Almost forcing a cancel on this base. But he does manage to save it. Now, Drewbie looks like he is double expanding to the bottom left once again, taking both of these bases in a little bit of a desperate situation to catch up economically once again. Looking at the income, still very close. And I think we're going to see a big battle here. Tanks sieging up, Ultras, tons of Ultras, and fungal growths on all of those medevacs. They very well could go down with another fungal growth. And another fungal growth on the Marines, able to clean those up, and now the Ultras just free to nom 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 on those tanks. Now coming down on the rest of the army, Marines and Marauders stemming back, trying to throw down infested Terrans, just whatever he can do. And the supply is still definitely in Sheth's favor. It's 172, 175 versus 139. But these Ultras not going to be the best thing to attack by themselves. But Broodlord's coming in. A very nice fungal growth. Cleans up the rest of the army. Now, what is Drewbie going to do to actually push through this? I mean, he has just been constantly behind, and now these bases are going to get scouted out. Ling's even separating, going to take out both bases at the same time, and the entire army forced to come down here and reinforce the bottom left. These are going to be his last bases very soon. He has to be careful here. Vikings trying to pick off those units in the middle of the map, the Broodlords that were waiting for him. Very smartly, Sheth not getting any more Broodlords, because he has to worry about those Vikings. The Vikings not really going to be useful against any of the other units, and Fungal Growth's going to be very good against them as well. We do have units here not using the energy on that Infestor, losing some more of the Ultras. Sheth's problem right now is that he's very short on gas. He can get a ton of Lings, but that would be it. Now losing one of the Ultras. Looks like he's going to lose this entire army. A lot of Lings pouring in. Is it going to be enough though? Looks like it does force a lift from Drewbie, and he might just go for this left attack. Sheth did get this base up, and he knows it. Oh, Drewbie wants it down so bad. But no, he's actually just going to fly back. Not going to be too aggressive with that. Would potentially have to worry about a counterattack. You see those Vikings just floating around the middle. One of the very, very few situations where I almost think just a couple Hydras would be beneficial. Otherwise, Hydra's usually useless in this matchup. They are going to be able to snipe a lot of these units very quickly. Looking at our upgrades, 0-1 for the air. Of course, 3-3 for the ground units of Sheth. 5-3 for the Ultras. And what about those other units? I don't see any roaches anymore, so pretty much just sticking to nothing but Ultra, Ling Hydra, and a few Broodlords. Although those may have gotten picked off as well. Drewbie does have a few units defending down here. Sheth could look at taking that down. But look at the supply right now. 170 to 172. Drewbie's actually caught up and exceeded Sheth's position and actually floating a ton of minerals, a ton of gas. And now going to engage the rest of this army. Banelings coming in. Fungal growth on some of the units. A lot of the medevacs. One more would be able to take down a couple more. More fungal growths going down. Oh, losing his infestors though, and it looks like the army does get cleaned up. The army count still very close. The Ultras and the Lings trying to push now to the bottom left. Such a close game. Sheth resupplying very quickly, now back up to 150 compared to the 112 for Drewbie. Not really producing a whole lot of units at the same time. He has plenty of production structures, not really efficiently managing them, it seems like, because he is falling behind, maybe just trying to figure out what he can do. He's getting a ton of Marauders to try to deal with these Banelings. Unfortunately, Fungal Growth is going to be very good against that. Looks like Drewbie did get Planetary Fortresses at both of these bottom bases, so Ling's not going to be all that effective versus that. Still not really heavily mining. He's pretty much using this base, but still only that one SCV, that lonely SCV repairing the Planetary Fortress, going to get taken down. Now a much bigger attack coming down here, and Drewbie trying to run in and take it out. A couple Banelings trying to come in, splits his army very nicely, very quickly. And the Planetary Fortress lives. The Ling's not even taking it down, and the rest of the Lings could get taken out. And just like that, it looks like Drewbie could be back in the lead. Banelings coming in on Ultra reinforcing. And we are 45 minutes into the game and neither player looking like they can take down the other. Still very close on supply. Looking at the income now, very close. Sheth is in the lead, just barely. Looking at that, you've got to consider mules are added onto that since he is dropping quite a few mules in the bottom left. Sheth forced to take another base. Look at the number of mining bases left. Before that, all of those Vikings actually taken down, trying to snipe that Greater Spire. Not worth it since Ling's able to clean that up. So Drewbie about to be mined out here. He did mine out mostly this bottom base, completely abandoned it. So he's pretty much just left with these two bases. He's got to defend these bases. Now floating his main orbital command from somewhere. Looks like his main expansion is floating over. More Ultras and Corruptors for Broodlords on the way. And here comes another big attack. Needs the Fungal Growth the army, but it does split up. There goes the Fungal on the left side. Ultra splitting up, going up after the right side. Banelings need to come in after the main group. Lots of Marines here. Oh, Banelings don't go off on the SCV transfer. Could have been huge. And Sheth pulling ahead once again. 156 supply to 110. Sheth spending all of his money. Drewbie having a little more trouble. The Ultras right now getting picked off in the middle of the map. And it is insane to think after a potentially hour-long game, we might have to go into a third. Sheth coming in, trying to pick off some of the units. Definitely could get the Planetary Fortress this time around. It is taking a lot of damage. The Lings get a nice surround. Looking at the health of that, it's getting repaired too fast. He's losing too much. The Lings getting picked off by the Planetary. Oh no, and it looks like it's going to hold just barely. More Lings coming in just too late as that army does get picked off. So Drewbie going to be left with these bottom three bases and Sheth taking the rest of the map. He is mining from this base, but it's going to be very hard to hold. Banshees coming in. Where are they going to go? He does see the creep there. Actually, he did see the full hatchery. Muta's going to come in, try to hold this off. In the middle of the map, we've got some units being transferred, trying to attack the top left. Ultras and Lings. Oh, running into that and just dying. Trying to run those Ultras back now. Does not want them to be defenseless. And and unfortunately a lot of the army split up for Sheth. Has to be able to resupply from all around the map. Those ultras and infestors could get picked off at any point. Looking at the mining bases left here for Sheth, he has 1, 2, 3. So both players equal on 3 bases. Harvester count still in favor of Sheth. Mineral income only ahead because of tons of mules. He has so many orbital commands down on the map. But drewbie about to be mined down at this bottom base. Looks like he dropped about 8 mules at that bottom. And here comes a full-blown attack on the main. Infestation pit taken down. No more infestors for the short term. drewbie going to push into the main, try to take out the rest of the tech. The hive looks like it may fall. Lings, ultras, and banelings coming in. Not able to split those armies quick enough. Banelings taking out a ton of units. Ultras cleaning up the rest. And the game goes on. Once again, Sheth has taken map control. drewbie forced down to 2 mining bases, with Sheth still on 3. So it's a very close game. I don't think you can count this refinery by itself up here as a full mining base with 1 SCV, although he's still getting SCVs. Trying to remine from it, just getting whatever minerals he possibly can. Is Sheth going to be able to attack in the bottom left, or is he just going to keep defending in the middle? I mean, let's look at the number of units lost. Right now, the army supply is in favor of drewbie. No, that's actually in favor of Sheth, and the worker supply obviously in favor of Sheth as well. Those little bars a little hard to read. As far as units lost, gotta know my hotkeys here. That's 1,100 units lost. The supply lost, just a ton of minerals there. So, looks like we do have drewbie pushing up once again. I'm not sure if Sheth's going to be able to hold it off or not. Supplies once again even. It looks like drewbie going to go for a drop. 4 Marauders going to try to snipe the hatchery over here on the left. How quick is the reaction going to be from Sheth? And is the entire army going to be out of position as drewbie's pushing up through the middle? So pulling all of his units to try to take that down. And meanwhile, drewbie coming up here through the middle. The army pulling back. How big of an engagement is it going to be? Not actually pushing in right now. A few Lings scouting out the way. Bringing back the overlay as it looks like the entire army actually pushes to the top left. Seeing a Banshee attacking the drones. Units streaming in from both sides. Broodlord's about to morph in. Fungal growth goes down on a small group of units there, and here comes the rest of the units. And now this is cleaning up the rest of the army. Sheth once again, 20 supply up, chasing him down with a ton of ultras and broodlords. Another group of the army is here. Doesn't look like he has another fungal growth ready. Might suicide that infestor, unfortunately. Needs to keep his spellcasters back and alive as long as possible. Just save up that energy. It does cost a lot of gas. Gas which he cannot afford to spend. Supply now 50 in favor of Sheth as he continues pushing on this group. Really having to continue stemming just to retreat back to this base. Unfortunately, it's not a planetary, so it's not going to save him. Missile turrets enough to deter those mutalisks to fly away. Trying to stem up, maybe try to snipe those off. Ultras could get us around on the units here, but no. There they go. They are being pulled back and trying to get us around. And it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. A lot of the army getting picked off right now. And Sheth looking like he very well could take this game. Still 50 supply up. A nice lift there from drewbie. Trying to get away, and the mutalisks trying to chase him down. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. And the most anticlimactic ending you could possibly think of. drewbie maybe just punching a hole through his entire computer with that last attack. 55-minute game, and drewbie gets disconnected. But I'm going to have to say right now, definitely was in favor of Sheth at the end. Sheth was 50 to 60 supply up. Still had 3 mining bases to only 2 to drewbie. So I think it is going to be 1-1. We're going to go into game number 3.